Aaron's head. The Empire sure knows how to ruin a perfectly good city.
My guess is your Pal 88 is in that large house. The Imperials are guarding it like a fortress.
Well, I think a visit's in order. Don't you?
Welcome to Live Action Star Wars. My name is James.
I'm Ralph.
And each and every week we are taking a look at a weird and wonderful piece of Star Wars media that was shot in live action. This could
maybe every other week.
Every other week is probably more likely.
I mean, I could just say right off the bat that, like, in our off weeks, since we're doing this bi-weekly, I'm gonna try to still fill stuff in.
That'd be something
onto the YouTube channel. So for those of you listening to the audio podcast from your pod burner, pod feeders, whatever, go to the YouTube page, liveactionstarwars.com, and
that'd be sort of
and watch some extra bonus.
Yeah, supplementals. So like, these will be the episodes every other week, and then there'll be things that I might put out, that Ralph's going to put out, that, things related to the show.
Right.
And yeah, we're going to just take a look at everything Star Wars. So that doesn't just cover the movies. Last episode 2 weeks ago, we covered Solo, and it was my turn to choose, and I went weird with it. I decided to take a look at Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, which is a convoluted title of those wonderful LucasArts video games from the mid-90s.
Right. So last episode, I mentioned that I played this video game. It turns out I've never played this video game.
I don't know if I played this one either.
This is the first time I'm seeing this footage. I've never seen this footage before in my life.
I've seen some of it. I've definitely seen some of it.
I'm super excited.
Not the whole lot.
There's not a lot of Star Wars I haven't seen, and I played Jedi Outcast,
that was
Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Knight Academy.
Yeah, there was Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Academy, and then Jedi Knight 3, Jedi Outcast, or one way or the other, like those two.
Yeah.
I played both of those.
I have issues with the title of this because they rearranged the stuff, but the stupidest thing to me is, okay, you start with Star Wars a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Cool, know it. Opening crawl, cool. It says right there, Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight.
And I like that this one followed the correct sort of format for the crawl.
Right.
A lot of video games sort of threw it out the window. Yeah, exactly. It kept it tight. It kept it just saying exactly what it is. The right things were in bold. You know, like I'm a big fan of the crawl.
Perfect. And then, and
then
there's a scene, and then they have the title of the game.
Yeah, they do a cold open.
We got that already.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did really appreciate it starting, like the first cutscene, starting with a blockade runner and then a Star Destroyer.
Right, but the blockade runner...
they subvert it. They subvert it a little bit. The blockade runner is already on fire. It's been destroyed.
And it's tumbling through space. It's jacked up.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I thought it was great.
The Tantive 4?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, so I listened to this. Yeah, I listened to the Star Wars radio drama, and that calls it the Tantive 4. And I want to say I saw, like, on a Star Wars show, Pablo Hidalgo also referred to it as the Tantive.
Oh, weird.
So I'm assuming he's basing his pronunciation on the radio drama. I don't know if it's the radio drama counts as live action because it's only voice work.
Yeah.
And if we can say that it's voice work counts, then that
opens up a lot though. That gives us all the audiobooks and everything.
I'm not doing the cartoons.
No,
I'm not doing the audiobook. But I highly recommend anybody going online, finding the Star Wars radio dramas. Have you heard them before? Have we talked about this?
I've heard clips. I haven't heard them all in full.
So they're available online for free. They were done by PBS, which was a public broadcasting, dear. the story isn't Star Wars.
No.
It's stuff that doesn't happen and they don't show you in Star Wars.
Cool.
So it shows you Princess Leia leading up to
Yeah.
the opening crawl, and
Bail
we get
Organa's in
also
it, isn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
and we also get like my favorite bit is we see R2D2. We follow R2D2 on Tatooine, and him getting captured by Jawas. We don't see that for C3PO.
No.
The
we see him wave, and then
yeah. So the
next thing we know.
radio drama does that side of the story.
Oh,
so it's
cool.
almost like a compendium. Like you can probably drop in the audio stuff
in between scenes.
In between,
I love that.
So
it's like
highly recommended.
Edition.
Different actors. I think Mark Hamill still does Luke, and C3PO is there, or Anthony Daniels. But everybody else is different, and it's really weird. It's really weird. But I really like the takes on stuff. I feel like Princess Leia is more sassy, more like a stronger character. Like
she's more Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know it was basically like alternate scenes or deleted scenes, or not deleted scenes, but like just other takes. I didn't realize that. That's really cool.
And I haven't read like the novelizations, so maybe some of that stuff comes from there. But highly recommend.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
I've not read novelizations of the original trilogy. I know that there was a book of the whole lot. I think of all three. But yeah, no, that's really cool. I will put that on my list of things to listen to.
Right. So let's talk about this cold open real quick.
Yeah.
I love lightsabers. I'm a huge fan of lightsabers. The lightsabers are all over the place in this opening scene.
They are everywhere, and they are. There's orange, there's blue, there's green, there's red. Like it's
there's a purple
rainbow.
one.
There is a purple one. Yeah.
And I swear that it's hard to track. Like I feel like some lightsabers change colors from edit to edit.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah. And they clearly didn't have the effects budget to have like them lighting up on screen. So it's always a case of like they'll lower the hilt. Yeah, they'll lower the hilt, you'll hear the noise, and then they'll bring it up and then they've got it on, sort of thing. It's like there's a lot of I say camera trickery, but that's being kind, I think.
Like my sister sent me a clip from TikTok, which was from the episode 1 documentary, the beginning, which we'll get to eventually.
We'll get there.
It might not have even been that one. It might have been the second one. Oh, it's one of those prequel ones where it's George Lucas talking to Samuel L. Jackson about Mace Windu, and he requests the purple lightsaber. Yeah, and so you can tell George. Yeah, you could tell George Lucas is like, well, the good guys are green and blue, and the bad guys are red.
I've seen the clip.
And then Samuel L. Jackson on camera's like, but it could be purple, right? And you could tell George Lucas is like, no.
It's green or blue.
It's green or blue. But he lets him do it.
Yeah, it's Sam Jackson. Awesome. You're not gonna tell Sam Jackson no, are you?
Right. So I'm watching the beginning of this Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and they're every color but like blue and green. Which I was like, okay, maybe it's a product of now that the Empire is down and they're trying to rebuild the Jedi Academy and Jedi Order. Like they're just making lightsabers however they can make lightsabers, and that's just the colors they ended up with. So
this is they are the Empire, but these guys are like the Dark Jedi. This is the faction of the Imperial Remnant that are Dark Jedi. So we know also like later on, like Thrawn will have his faction, and this is all the old canon EU sort of thing, and this fit in like. But like the Dark Jedi were referenced every now and then in old EU and stuff like that. It's like,
was the Sith like mentioned by name by this point? Well, this was what, 1997?
Yeah, 97. I feel like they must have been.
Right.
Like the names, like the Sith, Dark Lord, like Darth Vader was a Dark Lord of the Sith. That was known.
Right.
That was known in like I think the Return of the Jedi scripts and stuff like that, I believe, or like some drafts. But I feel like they didn't really know what they were doing with that yet. So they was like, keep the Sith separate. That's Vader and Palpatine. Yeah. This is other Force users.
I guess if you haven't read the books and stuff, like it's just easier to understand Dark Jedi.
There's Jedi, there's Dark
Yeah.
Jedi. Yeah,
Right.
they're Jedi that are bad. And yeah, but it just feels like it's a hey, you get force powers and you get force powers. Everybody gets force powers. Is sort of the way it's presented.
Speaking of presented, the Force in this,
Oh yeah, with
you can see it.
yeah, it's like projections, like it forms around people and stuff like that. It's
It
yeah,
creates like light rays and stuff. Like I feel like maybe George Lucas wasn't as involved with this.
well, in '97 he would have been in pre-production, wouldn't he? He would have been working on the prequels.
Yeah,
at
this came out the same. Yeah, and this came out the same year as the special editions,
which
baffling to me.
yeah, you'd have thought they would have been wanting to tie stuff in a lot closer. But I suppose I mean, a '97 video game was probably in development in '96.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it, the first Dark Forces game came out in '95, so yeah.
It's I can see like okay, the effects are bad.
Yeah.
The effects look like Myst, the computer game Myst, like that sort of level of effects. Myst wasn't full motion. This is full motion. But you gotta realize, like, they're probably so bad because of compression. They had to fit on a disc or two, maybe 2 discs,
Yeah, probably.
like a PS disc or a computer disc. So they're probably like knocked down a little bit. But what's funny is I could see Lucas watching this as like a proof of concept, like having people in front of green screens and having the digital backgrounds. I feel like maybe this helped him along with wanting to create episode 1, in that you could shoot stuff green screen and not have to build giant sets.
Using a lot more of the digital stuff that he did in the prequels.
Or if he's not satisfied with the digital effects in the game, using models, because I know that episode 1 used a lot of models.
Yeah, still, yeah.
The dice game with Watto, I remember seeing models of that hangar bay with all the pod racers in it. It's literally a constructed model
So cool.
that they did the green screen and then sort of put the models at the same angle. I want to say that episode 1.
Well, because
if not all movies, but it has the most model work of any Star Wars.
I think that's right. I think that is right. Because episode 1 was still shot here. That was still in England. That was still at Elstree, I believe, or Pinewood.
Yeah. Elstree.
It was Elstree.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Leavesden.
I mean, they're all around the same area. It's all South London. And then the other 2 prequels were down in Australia. That's when they went like full digital. They were using the digital cameras and everything. Like, and that's when it was. You see the shots of them just literally in a green room doing stuff against. And it's like those poor actors had nothing to work with.
Right.
And it shows. But
I have opinions about.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you're mostly talking about Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
But I have feelings about that.
Okay.
I did some research.
Cool.
Not a lot.
No, I mean, that's okay.
I looked up, so there's the computer voice and a Rodian voice in this, and that's Roger Jackson.
Okay.
Who is the voice in the movie Scream.
Oh, like really? What, the Scream voice on the phone?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's cool. And then I looked up, I was really really interested in hearing this thing who did the voice for 8T88.
Yep. Which is a cool droid name.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue, 8088, and they're all, it's great. I like it.
So the voice of that is this guy named Denny Delk. Now, Denny Delk has been in sort of the Lucasfilm area since 1979. He was in More American Graffiti, where he played a security guard. He was in Howard the Duck. He's in pretty much every single LucasArts game there is, doing a voice. He's the narrator from Monkey Island.
Oh, wow.
He was General Dodonna in Rebel Assault 1. He was the voice.
Cool.
And he was in the game TIE Fighter. But this is something we're not going to cover, but probably the coolest thing, in the Ewok cartoon from 85?
Yeah.
He was the voice of Wicket.
Wow.
Yeah. So how cool is this dude?
I mean, he's the Matthew Wood of his time.
Right.
Like, he's just been around
yeah.
and probably in the sound department or somewhere, but doing voice work. And yeah, not just in Lucasfilm, but in LucasArts. He's an in-house guy.
Did I ever tell you about the
cool.
time I met Matthew Wood?
No, what's your Matthew Wood story? I've met Matthew Wood as well.
Oh, have you? You
Yeah.
probably met him like on a convention or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was at a friend's house at a party, and
Okay.
and Matthew Wood was there. I'm like, oh, that's Matthew
This
Wood.
stuff happens to Ralph somehow.
So I go. He's going up to get some drinks or something, or whatever. And I get behind, and he follows my account, VHS dude. And
Cool.
so I'm like, okay, cool. Probably doesn't know that he follows it. So I said, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm the dude. I'm the VHS dude guy. He's like, oh, that's really cool. And then I had nothing to say. I was so like, what am I doing?
Why did I start this conversation?
And I told my friend whose house it is. I said I blew it. I really was excited to talk to Matthew Wood, but
Well, you're not going to be that. You're not that guy who's going to go up to him and who's like, "Hello there." Like you're not gonna get that, and that's just.
I didn't want to be like, hey, you know all the sounds you created for Star Wars after Ben Burt left? Hey, you know how your General Grievous? Hey, yeah, he knows all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of what to say other than Star Wars sounds. I want to talk to you about your job at this party on a weekend that. Oh
yeah, you're
God.
probably just enjoying not being at work today.
Right. And here I am talking about, I don't know, the sounds from like the voices of all the droids in the Clone Wars cartoons.
He's great. Like he's taken over from Ben Burt, like, and he's run with it, and I like him. He's a good dude.
Yeah. So
this game could have done with a Matthew Wood, I feel, because a lot of the sound effects, like the music, was great because they just used took John Williams, but I feel like it was used well. Like they didn't lay stuff in like exactly where you would think it would be, but like they used drops in different spots and stuff. Like there was the Echo Base Escape music came in like at the beginning of a fight, and I was like, that's a good use of that. I really enjoy it.
It reminded me of the Kessel Run music, how it was classic Star Wars music chopped together. Yeah. But this made more sense because obviously they wanted Star Wars music and they didn't want to re-record something. But they did use some music from X-Wing. There was definitely some MIDI
someone
music
listed as a composer.
Yeah, there's like MIDI music.
Peter McConnell is listed as composer, so maybe he did X-Wing as well.
I guarantee you it's from X-Wing because when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, it's taking me back to X-Wing. I love X-Wing. Speaking of video games,
those games are great. Yeah. You've played some board games and stuff. Have you ever played the tabletop X-Wing game? It's a good sort of it uses a lot of the same stuff from the video game, but like just translates it to a board game. It's fun little dogfight game.
I have one Star Wars board game, and it may be visited on this podcast.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the board game from I think '97, same year, where it came with a VHS tape, and you play the board game, and there's VHS tape, but there's, according to the cover, quote, "new footage of Darth Vader never before seen," and we'll get to it, but just you wait to see this footage of Darth Vader, and like they constructed like a half a wall of like basic Imperial background.
Yeah.
Like the long lights, the floor to ceiling long wall lights, and then like a trapezoid door. Like it's it's awful, dude.
All of those VHS games, like Atmosphere was the big one over here. I don't know if you guys had Atmosphere. That was sort of the only like major one, but yeah, it was a spooky horror game, and like the guy would just like jump in at certain times and everything. But yeah, they were all so terrible. But no, that's good. Like talking about like green screens and how the set that they were built, like this was very much just all done on probably blue screen. And there's a couple of scenes where it doesn't even look like they bothered putting in. They didn't bother like rotoscoping in or whatever it is, like, to put in a background. It looks like they are just shot on a blue screen.
Yeah, the artwork for this episode on YouTube is a lot of blue background.
Yeah.
But the thing I love though was, so like you could see like any sort of effect was done in this awful sort of 1997 video game CG. So even to the point where at one point someone drops their very real lightsaber and use the force to pick it up off the ground. So instead of like just getting a string and pulling the lightsaber prop up, it cuts to one of these computer effects of a digital lightsaber flying up, and it's crazy. Like they just,
it's
like
so bad.
It's funny how in 1997, like video games weren't regarded as like art. Literally, it wasn't anything. It was literally like something you could play. We're gonna do full motion video because that's the hot thing now, and it's just to get from point A to point B. Watching this video on YouTube where it's just the cutscenes, my brain keeps having to remind itself that, okay, in between this shot and this shot, there was a video game where you're running in the hallways shooting. Yeah. What I didn't know, and this might be jumping ahead a little bit, is alternate endings.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't. When it cut back, I was like, oh, wait, is this video just weird? But like, yeah, no. Alternate endings, and then it looks like there's, 3 different paths that the game could have ended on?
Maybe.
Because it cuts back, like, there's a branching point, and then from one of those branching points, it looks like there's 2 separate ways it could have gone. Maybe one's like the failure, like maybe one of them is like if you die, like that's the scene that you get or something. But yeah, you can beat this game and become the Emperor.
Right.
And like the classic bad guys female counterpart, like it's just there with you at the end, and she's like, yep,
yeah, that was Saris.
Okay.
Sariss. I really
did
her
name. Did her name get dropped in any of the cutscenes?
I don't know. I had to look it up.
Okay, yeah.
I looked it up on IMDb, and she was one of the few people with a picture on their IMDb page, and I'm like, okay, that looks like her.
Oh, okay.
And I really liked her. I think the main bad guy who played Jarek was over the top, which is fine.
It was very cheeseball.
Looked really odd.
He looked like a Flash Gordon villain.
Right. He had a little bit of Ming.
Yeah, definitely a bit of Ming in there.
But the sort of like stitches or tattoos coming off of the mouth, kind of gave it a Charlie Chan kind of look to me, especially with the visor, the really thin visor. I'm like, this is kind of off-putting.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
And then they had the Twi'lek.
I hate this character. This
Me too.
It's the worst because up until this point, the most we've seen of Twi'leks is Bib Fortuna and Ula,
right, in
Return of the Jedi, and so we get that. Okay, there may be like the Major Domo, like they're the sniveling one, but not this. Like Bib Fortuna is not this. Bib Fortuna is still pretty competent. Like he gets slapped around by Jabba, but he's not like a lecherous little like Igor. Yeah. And this guy is a mix between Igor and like the court jester. He's like it's like Salacious Crumb and Igor combined, and it's
the worst.
It's really bad. It would not fly today.
It's the worst. Which I mean, it kind of lent a charm to it, but at the same time, I'm just like, I hate this performance. I don't really. There is no performance I really hate in Star Wars. Like I know it's popular to rip on Hayden Christensen or Ahmed Best Jar Jar or whatever. Those are fine. They feel like Flash Gordon serial to me, like the way their characters are presented. This dude just felt out of something else.
Yeah,
like it just I try to keep everything positive, but
his takes.
I looked at the director, and it was I didn't see the director did other stuff other than like Lucasfilm.
Yeah, Justin Chin. Justin Chin, and the game is written by Peter Chan, who is also the designer. So probably small team. You know, it's a 90s video game.
Right.
It's not going to be like the productions that you get on a AAA title these days, where it's like more people than make a movie.
Right.
This is probably, I don't know, maybe a dozen people. It wouldn't surprise me if it's less than that. But the other performance that I thought was pretty noticeable was Angela Harry as Janos. She was pretty wooden.
Yeah,
I mean, she
liked
didn't
her,
have a lot
though.
to do. She didn't have a lot
Right.
to do. So I
What's-
don't want to like slag it off too much, but
Right.
it's like, okay, like, yep, you're just the co-pilot, the friend who's there to save the day. And she gives
And
him
it
a bit
could
of
be-
sass, but she's, yeah.
It could be that whole episode 2 thing where they're just in front of blue screens. I still liked her character though.
The character's
was,
great. Like
Yeah.
I've my fondness for the character comes, I think, from the next game.
Yeah.
Like I
Jedi
remember the character of Janos and going, oh, I like
Right.
that character. I remember
Yeah.
the Moldy Crow as a ship. Like I remember the ship.
I love it. I love the ship.
It's a cool design.
Right.
It's
it
it's a little
it
bit
reminded
more
me
than-
of those video games, and I've heard a lot of people talk about Mandalorian, how they want Kyle Katarn to show up, and after watching this, I'm like, oh yeah, now I want him in Mandalorian, and I want that ship.
Yeah,
I love it. I want that.
And-
I love that ship.
because the Outrider was shown in the special editions, which was from another video game. That was what's his name? The other Han Solo analog, who they created for Shadows of the Empire.
Dash Rendar.
Dash, that's right, yeah. So the Outrider is blasting out of Mos Eisley in the special edition, so you can see it. And I believe that type of ship has been sort of brought into canon with things like Rebels. There's one of his. It's a Corellian. It's another Corellian freighter. It's the not Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these ships have been used. It wouldn't surprise me if they're in the background of some stuff, or even at the end of Tross, like in that scene
Right.
where everyone shows up. But yeah, the Moldy Crow is a cool ship. It's sort of somewhere between a freighter and a fighter.
Right. And now seeing that this takes place after the fall of the Empire,
Yeah.
like I'm like super now on board with
it's the right
Kyle
time frame.
showing up. Yeah.
As
Um,
I don't know, maybe he's already training with Luke. Maybe he brings Grogu back. I don't know. Like maybe he rescues Grogu. There you go, the Kyle Katarn
Right.
spin-off where he's the one who rescues Grogu from the temple.
Would you recast it?
What, from
Probably
this
yes.
guy?
Yeah.
You want Jason Court to come back as Kyle Katarn?
I don't know. I mean, listen, dude. I feel.
I think we should
Yeah,
probably
I think-
recast
I think
it.
so. I think so. But I was watching cutscenes again for Rebel Assault 2,
Uh-huh.
and the guy who's in that has a part in like Rookie One from Matt, who you play as.
Yeah.
Has like a part in like True Detective season 1.
Oh,
or
really?
something. I don't know if he's a major character. I haven't seen that show, but I'm
That's
like,
good. The season
was
one's
like-
really good.
I was like, I feel like maybe under a different director they can probably,
Maybe. I mean, it depends. I don't know. Maybe the guy got out of acting altogether after this. I've not really followed
I'd be
the
all-
career of Jason Court.
I mean,
Let's look him up.
I mean, how
I mean, he's
like
he was in a
for
film in
people
2019.
know, there you go. So
It
he's still
doesn't.
being hired.
I mean, it doesn't look like he's done much. Before that, his last thing was another video game in '99. So he didn't work in acting for 10 years.
All right. That 20 years.
Well, God, yeah, 20 years. Yeah, he had a 20-year break.
Man.
But this was
But
his only appearance as Kyle
could you
Katarn.
imagine? Could you imagine? Like, I mean, let's
He's-
say we do catch up to the Jedi Academy with Luke,
Mhm.
right? And Grogu. And we need to get and we need
You need.
Din Djarin
What about
needs to
I
get Grogu back. Yeah. I care. But what if you see the Jedi Academy and that dude is there? Like it's just an
Kyle
Easter
Katarn.
egg.
And
Yeah,
like
that
I
yeah.
think all you need to do is have the shirt, because the shirt is his iconic look.
Oh my gosh. I think that's what I liked about what's her name? Jan?
Jan Oz.
Was she had like literally a shirt that I had.
Yeah,
back in
yeah.
'97.
I mean, yeah, it looks exactly like something that you'd still just be able to
Like an
buy.
old navy under like sweater.
Yeah.
Kyle Katarn,
Mm.
his lightsaber
Yeah.
looks like a pepper mill, and it's I don't care for it.
No. It was Ran, wasn't it? It was Jedi Master Q Ran, whose lightsaber it was apparently.
Right,
It
that's
was
the
left to
green
him.
one.
I believe so. Yeah, it's the guy who
Now
gets killed
I
at the beginning.
right. I try to pay attention, and I don't know if I missed stuff in the video game, like the
In
actual
the levels.
gameplay.
Don't think there was
But
much plot in the video. In the
his
levels.
right his lightsaber's then yellow at the end.
Mm.
Do we see a change?
Maybe he picks up a new crystal or something. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
I know that in the later games you could customize your lightsaber. You could change the colors and stuff like that.
Because because when I was watching this, I'm like, okay. I kind of skimmed through it when you first announced that we were going to do this. So I skimmed through it a little bit. I'm like, okay, just to kind of get the artwork for the show ready and stuff like that. And then, but when I sat down to watch, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm really going to analyze this thing. And then I don't know if my mind wandered or if I missed something or if it was part of the non-cutscene stuff. And I'm like, his lightsaber was green for sure.
Yeah.
And then it was
Maybe
yellow.
it's a different lightsaber. He might have maybe he got another lightsaber at some point. Who knows? I wasn't paying too much attention to that. Yeah, I mean, plot wise, it is a case of he's got some daddy issues. Kyle Katarn has some daddy issues. His dad's been murdered. He's trying to avenge that. In doing so, he's already got.
He
some
finds out
connection to
he's
the
like a
Force.
Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got connection to the Force, and he is just traveling to find these Dark Jedi to take them out, and then, well, he's sort of got to protect the Valley of the Jedi as well, which is a whole thing.
Right.
Which I kind of like. That plays into the whole Korriban Valley of the Sith as well from other video games later on. Which I think
at the end of this,
Morrowind.
I'm trying to think. It might have been something I just missed. At the end, we get like the home of Jarek, or the place where Jarek's at, and he gets kind of put into that orb in the middle, and there's like these gigantic statues and stuff.
Yeah,
that's like that.
I think that's the Valley of the Jedi.
Okay, that whole area reminded me of Exegol in The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like there's stuff in here, obviously not good stuff, but some of the sort of world building stuff and some of the sort of background stuff, I'm like, I feel like this totally fits in current canon, and I got very excited that there was this place that looked just like Exegol with the giant statue heads and the big sort of arena. That's something we never saw in any Star Wars.
No.
So I'm sure in '97, if I played this game, I'd be like, oh, this is really cool. This place
Deep
is really
lore.
neat.
Yeah.
And then if I did play this in '97 and then saw Rise of Skywalker, I'd be like, oh my god,
they're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's the reason why I like Exegol is because of all of this stuff, because it reminds me a lot of the stuff from old video games. I mean, it basically is a video game, that movie, which is fine.
I love Rise of Skywalker. There's this thing with the fandom where it seems like it's easy to sort of pile on to one specific thing. So like if it's Phantom Menace, everybody piles on to Jar Jar or Jake Lloyd, and it's like,
leave the poor kid alone.
Yeah. And Jar Jar too. Like I like Jar Jar.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Jar Jar.
We'll get there.
And and then it seems like Rise of Skywalker is the new sort of
whipping boy.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, is that?
I don't know if it is or not. Yeah,
anyway,
probably not, but I mean, the way that they treat it isn't. So
it's definitely like it's been beaten. It's like a dead horse.
There you go.
I love it, and I think I've mentioned this. I think I mentioned this in Solo.
Yeah, but I mean, they're
like my Star Wars
movies. Two of the three movies that I think are the most shit on, and we like them. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, because we enjoy things.
Yeah. I just like going to as many Star Wars places as I can. And this video game took me to essentially Exegol. I'm just in
Yeah.
my brain, I'm like, this is Exegol. I don't care. And it was cool. It was cool. And then it had a little bit of that Rogue One where, the giant Jedi statue laying on Jeddah. Like,
Yes.
we don't get any giant statues in the original trilogy. And we don't really get a lot of that in the prequels, like on Coruscant, there's some obvious giant statues and stuff, but the fact that in the Disney area we get Rogue One and we get Rise of Skywalker, both have giant statues and they're both Force user based. They're both,
We've got
Sith
one
based, and
exactly. Yeah, we've got one for each.
So seeing this have that, I'm like, oh, cool. It feels right. It feels that felt like the most Star Warsy thing to me. Like all the futuristic city stuff, I'm like, this doesn't look like Star Wars. It looks like Blade Runner, or like there's the outpost that where she's looking through the binoculars and stuff. And I'm like, it doesn't look like Star Wars. It just looks like a refinery. Some of the space stuff looked off, but when we got to that place, I'm like, this looks like Star Wars to me. These giant statues. So I loved it. And
so you mentioned the city from the beginning part of the game.
Right, the fly through. I think that's
I was like the animation's terrible. Obviously, like the effects on it are awful. But I like that as a setup for the game, like as the intro to the level. That's a cool intro to a level. You're flying through. I don't know if it was Coruscant. I think because at the end, one of the cutscenes, like I think, was meant to be Coruscant. It's meant to be like the Imperial Palace, because that was the whole thing in old EU. But this, like, if it wasn't Coruscant, it was like probably like, I don't know. They loved Nar Shaddaa back in the day, like, or one of those, or Corellia, or like one of these sort of big city planets. And it was a cool setup and a cool sort of intro to the game. I was a big fan. I liked the beginning of all of these cutscenes.
Right. I feel like this. Okay, so we watched it on YouTube, or I watched one on YouTube. It was from like 2013, I think it was uploaded.
Yeah.
That's the best quality one I saw, and it didn't have the subtitles blocking anything. So it was,
that's the one. I think.
But that was taken from a disc that had to be compressed down so it would run on a PC. I'm wondering if there is an actual version of this that's not all jacked up.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to see the original animation of that city. I'm sure it still has that same sort of weird glossy mid-90s computer look, but I would like to see a really nice clean version of that.
It's crazy to think now. Like, I remember watching old documentaries. I think it was for one of the prequels where they were talking about the animatics and stuff. And this looks about on the same level. It was, it's the episode 2 animatics. This looks like on the same level as those.
Right.
Whereas now you see animatics for movies these days and they look, like fully rendered video games, essentially.
Right.
They're amazing. You could put that out as a little fan film. Whereas I feel like the technology advancing so much then around that time. Like I looked at some screenshots from the first Dark Forces game, which was 2 years before this in '95, and the jump between that game and this game was drastic. And then it's 5 years until Jedi Knight 2. Yeah, Jedi Outcast was 2002, so 5 years. And I fondly remember that. I've got that on my Xbox downstairs, like, because they did a re-release of it that you can play backwards compatible. Like, I might fire that up just to see, and it's not going to look like anything with today's standards, but it's still playable. Whereas I don't think I'd be able to sit down and play this. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
It might not get a re-release because they'd probably have to deal with, the actors and stuff.
It looks like in 2015 it was released on Good Old Games, GOG.com. So there's probably a version of it that is out there and playable on modern-ish PCs or anything. I can't imagine it's going to require much.
Right.
It's not going to require much power.
Yeah. I'd love to see a full sort of
re-rendering of it.
Like yeah. I feel like it's got to be somewhere. I'm sure the Lucasfilm Archives has it somewhere.
I mean, that's the problem. That's the sad thing about LucasArts going away, isn't it? Like we lose all of this, and they're back and they're doing, was it Lucasfilm Games they've announced now, where they're going to be doing more in-house stuff, but that's still working with other publishers. Whereas, you know, back then it was all in-house. LucasArts was, it was the first casualty of Disney. Like, I remember that announcement when Disney bought it was all sort of buried in the article. It was like, and we're closing LucasArts. And it's like, that's sad, because it wasn't just Star Wars games that they did. They did things like Monkey Island, which I loved. Monkey Island games.
Sam and Max.
Yeah.
Maniac Mansion, Grim Fandango.
They were great.
That Danny Delk is on all those credits, by the way.
So cool.
He was like their Lucky Charm or something.
Mm.
He was great as 88.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I wish I had a full, like, actual, like, resolution version of this, because
that was a fully...
it's really hard to see the design because it's, the backgrounds are dark and he's kind of dark, and it's,
I mean, so much of it is sort of muddied and like it's hidden in shadows and stuff. It's like,
yeah, you meet Kyle Katarn and he's like the perfect shadow across his face.
Yeah, I don't really get why with that, because, you know, he's an actor who's in costume and makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, he's something that you can show.
And it's not like someone we know. It's not a big reveal. Like, oh, it's actually Bosk. It's just a dude.
It's that one guy from the first game who fought Dark Troopers. Which is interesting. So, like, we were talking about things that related to current media now, and, you know, the Dark Troopers that we see in The Mandalorian were introduced in the first Dark Forces game.
Right.
So Kyle Katarn's not beyond the realm of possibility, I don't think, of characters that we might see recanonized.
And now with Filoni being in charge,
we know he's got
creative control.
He's got a love of all of this old stuff as well.
Yeah, this like, I didn't play this, but I know Rebel Assault 2 was like the first time we had full motion video in a while. This might have come first. I don't know which came first, but man, at the time, like, especially mid 90s, deep into the 90s, when you would like beg for cutscenes in X-Wing, and they were just movie stills that were digitized and sort of animated.
Some
the mouse
text at the bottom telling you what was going on.
But I would like, oh man, I would watch those over and over and over again. I remember they had the Imperial officers where he says, "Good, our first catch of the day." Like, those two guys, just and their little mouths would move. Like, I would just love it when that happens. Or new quote footage of Admiral Akbar talking and the voice being like really off. Really off from the film. But man, I love this. I thought it was great, dude. It's as awful as it is.
Yeah,
as
bad
as
we
it
knew
is.
going in, and I feel like if you're looking at full motion video game cutscenes, like I was showing a friend of mine some of these as I was skimming through them at the weekend, and I was like, "Have you ever seen any of the old Command and Conquer full motion video stuff?" And we watched about 5 minutes of Peter Stormare, who's an amazing actor, doing just the wildest performance. And I feel like whenever they got, like, I know Josh Holloway did some for Command and Conquer game once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a bunch. Like, I feel like the Command and Conquer games knew what they were doing with them, and they were cheesy and over the top. And then, so even when they carried on making games, they didn't need to be doing these cutscenes. But they carried on doing it, and they kept them super cheesy and bad, and it worked.
My computer was never strong enough to play Wing Commander, and I always wanted to, just because Mark Hamill was in them.
Yeah.
And it made me so sad that I wasn't able to play Wing Commander starring Mark Hamill. It was like him on the cover with like a lion man or something, and I'm like, oh man,
what is going on?
I need this.
Yeah,
I need this.
So I just looked it up. Rebel Assault 2 was 95, so that was before.
That's such a huge deal. Such a huge new Star Wars.
Yeah,
like we're talking like this is before. Oh no, this would have been right after the special editions came out, because special editions came out at the beginning of '97.
Yeah,
But geez Louise, man, I would have eaten this up if I saw it back then. I think by the time the special editions came out, I was like all about those because
We all
new
were.
footage,
It was 97.
new footage.
Loved it.
I want to talk about before we get into the draft.
Yeah, we'll explain that in a minute.
I'm gonna talk about next week's episode.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to mention about
I don't.
Dark Forces
I think
2?
we've
I
covered
loved
it. I think we've covered it.
I
If
love
you
all
haven't
Star
seen,
Wars.
if you haven't seen this footage, go and check it out. You
Yeah,
don't need to sit through all half an hour of it, but I mean it's only half an hour, so you can.
Yeah.
But it's worth scanning through just to have a few look. Like check out a scene with Jarek. Check out one of the scenes with Kyle and Jan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next week,
Yes.
speaking of special editions, I'm going. This is late dark times that we're covering today. Next week we're going back very probably one of the first things to come after Return of the Jedi.
Wow. Okay.
And we've covered a film, we've covered a video game, we're going to cover a documentary.
Nice.
We're going to be watching From Star Wars to Jedi, the making of a saga.
Amazing.
Which is one of my favorite things ever.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh my god, dude.
I don't know.
So
I might
many
have.
things.
I might have.
There's so many good things to discuss. I'm very excited. It's like a feature-length documentary.
Yeah, it might have been one of those things I had on like a recorded VHS, not an official release like yours. It's the sort of thing that I would have probably taped.
1983.
Oh,
so
wow.
This is the very beginning of the Dark Time.
So literally just after Jedi then.
Yeah. This is one version I have, which came out with the THX in 195.
I was going to say I recognize those covers. That looks like the 90s release.
Ooh, this Star Wars font. So that is available online.
Cool.
We'll have it if you go to Live Action Star Wars YouTube page. We'll make sure that the link is posted.
That's where I'll be watching
so you can watch it as well.
Are you gonna bust off the old VHS player to watch that? You're gonna watch the tape?
I've already watched it.
Okay.
And I ripped it because I was just gonna upload our own version onto YouTube, but it's like this has been blocked. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. There's several more. If it for some reason you can't find it on YouTube in your area, it is on StarWars.com.
Oh, great.
They do have a version on StarWars.com. So just look up From Star Wars to Jedi, the making of a saga. You get I can't wait because there's
excited.
stuff there's something special edition related in it.
Wow.
And you could probably figure that out real easy.
I think I already have.
It's the first time I've ever seen that scene.
Oh, really?
Docking Bay 94, they show it.
Yeah.
And it's like in its entirety.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, with the actor.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you. So, okay. I've never in my life wanted to cosplay. But I was excited for Celebration coming up. It didn't happen. I have about a year to figure this out. But if I were to cosplay, I would be the guy who plays Jabba.
The actor, the human
The actor
Jabba.
version with the fur
Yep.
and the
Oh,
bowl cut.
dude, you got to do it. That
And I looked it up. I've never seen anybody do it.
No.
I've looked it up.
That's such a cool, weird, deep cut. And I think, at Celebrate,
Just walk around with my hand on my belt.
Yeah. Nowhere else could that work. Like, you'd look fine at a Ren fair, maybe. But at Celebration, you're going to get people that know it and recognize it and love it.
I can't do a Scottish accent, though.
Don't worry about it.
Right.
I can't either, and it's only a few hundred miles away.
Okay, so let's talk about this draft. I don't know if we mentioned it really earlier.
No, I think we decided it since recording the last episode.
Right. So here's the deal.
Yeah.
We're taking turns picking what we're going to be watching for that episode. But we have 9 movies left and 10 movies left.
Mm-hmm.
We have 10 movies left, and I would feel kind of weird just taking a movie and saying, hey, next week we're doing Empire Strikes Back or whatever. So we decided we're going to do a draft.
Mm-hmm.
But
the movies, when we announce the movies, we can still surprise each other with them.
Yes.
That's sort of part of the parcel of it. Is we want to make it exciting. We want a movie to be a big deal when we cover one of these movies. It's like a boom. It's movie night, everybody. Like we've been watching documentaries, we've been watching video game cutscenes. Now it's movie night. Let's get real with it. We're gonna talk about this movie.
Right.
So it makes it a bit of an event. We'll probably do them every couple of months or something.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what the time frame works out.
I haven't set up any sort of way to kind of cross the stuff off the list, but
I've the shared list that we're using. There's a strike through function.
Okay. So you can deal with it. All right. Cool. Let's go with you first. You can pick one of the 10 movies.
Okay.
I mean, you know what my first pick is, so I.
Do I? I think I do.
I think I mentioned it. Yeah, just in case.
I am gonna take The Force Awakens.
Perfect.
Great.
Perfect. I'm also gonna take a Disney era film, and it's gonna be Rogue One, the Star Wars story.
Love it.
Yeah.
Let's go original trilogy, and I will take Return of the Jedi.
Oh, that was gonna be my second. That's fine. I will take Attack of the Clones.
Cool. Okay. Well, in that case, I will take Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna take Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
I
can't have the end of all trilogies.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's finish out that one though. I'm gonna take The Last Jedi off your hands.
Okay.
Because
all right,
we have different opinions on that, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Some shared, some different.
I have different opinions about it.
Yeah, same.
Like my brain splits that movie up. I'll take Phantom Menace.
Cool. Great.
Yeah.
Now we're down to it.
Pick the one you want.
We're down to it.
Pick the one you want.
I'll take Empire.
Will you? Okay, cool. I'll take Star Wars.
Yeah, there we go. What great, perfect way to end it. The two that I feel like everyone's going to be like the number 1 and 2 draft picks for most people, and we left it to last.
I think it was more of like I want to defer to you.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't really matter. It's we want to talk about all these movies, but I'm just like I kind of want to like.
It splits them up in a fun way.
Yeah.
Cool. I will try and remember all of what we just said, and I will note. Like I'll put an R and a J next to each of the movies on our list.
You don't have to. It'll be right here at liveactionstarwars.com.
There it is.
So we'll mark them down later. But I definitely know. And the great thing is this isn't the order that we want to talk about.
No, not at all.
So we're gonna be. I can't wait for you to spring something on me. I feel like The Last Jedi is gonna be like oh no, here we go.
Strap in. That one we will probably go longer than this, believe it or not.
Right. And this one's not too long.
No. There's more to say, but we'll still bring our own take to it.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm excited.
I can't wait.
So next week,
2 weeks
Star Wars The Jedi. You got it. 2 weeks from Star Wars The Jedi, the making of a saga.
Yep.
From 1983. It'll be available on liveactionstarwars.com on the YouTube page. If it's not there, it is on starwars.com.
That's great.
Just do a search for it.
Yeah.
Until next time, follow us everywhere at liveactionsw.
Mm-hmm.
You can even go to liveactionsw.com and visit our site so you can find like kind of all of our shows archived from beginning to most current.
Yep.
And
you can see what day it is every day on the Twitter feed. What international day it is.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Mostly it was me just trying to create content. And then I'm like
International Goth Day the other day was brilliant.
I was like yesterday or the other day was National Lucky Penny Day.
Okay.
And I have Dabuske putting the coins into BB-8. I wanted to have BB-8 shooting the coins because that's lucky. That's a lucky penny.
Yeah.
but it's the only GIF I could find, and I didn't want to go making Last Jedi GIFs.
But not to give anything away about our coverage of The Last Jedi.
Listen, I put it on. Let me just say this: Last Jedi is my least watched Star Wars movie.
Okay.
But I put it on the other day, and I watched it because I would just watch the shit out of all the other Disney era stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And it's interesting as well. Like, we're both big fans, and you've had Alex Robinson on your other show, one of your other shows before. We're both big fans of Star Wars Minute, and they are currently in the midst of their Last Jedi season, so it's on the mind. I think for both of us quite a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's all we have. Awesome pick this week. I loved it.
It was great fun.
I really enjoyed it.
I love. This is what we want to be doing. Is just fun.
I mean, I didn't think I'd get to see new Star Wars, like right off the bat, new Star Wars. So thanks for that. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
Punch it.